In this week's edition of Point Guard Point of View, I want to touch on mental illness, and not because I'm an expert, because I'm not, but just because of life experiences. I have an awareness in terms of how it has affected people in my family, people on my coaching staff, young ladies that I've coached, and an abundance of other people. And it wasn't my intention today to speak on this, but a couple of days ago I was watching Good Morning America, and a famed women's basketball coach, Joanne P. McCauley, was on TV, and she talked about why she stepped away from Duke University. She suffered with bipolar disorder. Then later that day, they were talking about, will they host the NBA All-Star game in Atlanta? And they were talking about the pandemic and why it was a good idea or not. And then some aspect of mental health came up in that discussion with some of the pundits. Of course, it's the obvious ones with the pandemic. Is it really necessary to have the All-Star game? Is it going to spread it? It's supposed to be for the fans, but no fans are going to be there. But I heard mental health. And then I remembered Vincent Jackson, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers football player, retired. He was found dead in his hotel room in Tampa. And of course, cause of death is not known, but it has since come up that maybe he suffered with some alcoholism and maybe contribute to that. And that's just, so all these things started coming up. And so, of course, we're living in a pandemic. And then I thought, man, there's been a lot of talk and articles about coping mechanisms for it. And so here I am, just bringing it up. I remember about 12 or 13 years ago, I was asked to speak at the National Alliance for Mental Illness. They were having a fundraiser in Baton Rouge, and they asked, and of course I said yes. And so that became probably my introduction into really learning about mental health, because I can't go speak on something that you're not educated about. But then I always had that barometer up. So, fast forward through everything. There's this saying in basketball, well, definitely in basketball, where I first heard it, where we would always say, mental is to physical as 4 is to 1. Of course, we were always talking about being mentally tough to, be able to get through the adversity on the basketball court. And so all these things are just coming to me. And, as it relates to the pandemic, exposing some of these things, I was thinking, I wish it was called physical distancing and not social distancing, because you could still be social via some of these techniques and technology that we have, just in the sense of staying connected to people. Because I think, obviously, some of the death, despair, loss of jobs, not knowing what's next has highlighted, elevated the shift with people suffering with mental illness. And look, we all take a breath when it's something catastrophic, right? And we should. I've experienced suicide. We all know someone that has, and we should. But there's also parts of the mental health spectrum where it's not just about losing someone's life. Maybe they lose their sense of purpose. They lose their drive. They lose their focus. And that kind of catapults into other things. So it's just a level on it. And I'm not speaking on it. I'm just speaking on, look, it's here. It should stay top of mind. It should be okay if people are having those struggles. I remember when Dwayne The Rock talked about his depression, right? Thick, strong Rock. Kendrick Lamar, this talented musician. Taraji P. Henson, Cookie. And she talked about why she started her foundation. And it's real. And it's not about, I don't know, it should be normalized because it's a sickness, you know. So I think that's part of it here today, is to just recognize it and check on people that you're close to. Don't put them in a box and label them as lesser than. Be a beacon of light, be an ear, be a part of their stretch team to help them through things. Ellen Sachs said, the humanity in us is more important than the mental illness we may not share. And I think I messed it up. The humanity that we share is more important than the mental illness we may not. And think about that. This is the humanity part of it. And, you know, I think